Freight forwarding is about to change forever, and 99% of forwarders have no clue what's happening and how it will affect their businesses. And I know this because over the past few years, I worked with dozens of owner-led freight forwarders, helping them build a predictable sales pipeline using LinkedIn and cold email. I've been behind the scenes, constantly testing what works and what doesn't for the industry. And when something shifts, I'm one of the first ones to see it coming. So in this video, I'm gonna walk you through the 7 biggest shifts happening in freight forwarding over the next 12 to 24 months. I'll show you every change I see coming and break down the strategies and exact tactics that I will use to take advantage of this right now. So let's get into it. Here's what's happening right now in freight forwarding. The market, it's absolutely flooded with forwarders who all sound exactly the same. Great service, competitive rates, global network, full service solutions. Sounds familiar? Here's the problem. Shippers can't tell you apart anymore. They get 10 quotes on their desk. Every single one of them says the same thing. Every forwarder claims the same capabilities. And when that happens, guess what becomes the only differentiator? Price. Look, a few years ago, having relationships and a solid network was enough to stand out. But now, in 2026, every forwarder has relationships and every forwarder has network access. The barrier of entry has dropped and the competition exploded. I have these conversations every single week with forwarders who are losing deals, not because their service isn't good enough, not because their price isn't good enough, but because they're completely invisible in a sea of identical options. Put yourself in the shipper's shoes for a sec. You've got 10 quotes in front of you. They all look the same on paper. How do you choose? You go with price, or you go with whoever you already know. And if you're the new guy trying to break in with the generic, hey, full service, freight forwarder pitch, you've already lost before the conversation even starts. So here's what you need to do. You gotta develop a hyper-specific positioning that makes it impossible to confuse you with anyone else. Now we're a full service freight forwarder. We help fashion importers avoid delays during peak season, or specialists in hazmat freight for chemical manufacturers, or time-critical air freight medical device companies. When your positioning is this specific, you're not competing with 10 other forwarders. You're the only option that makes sense. All right, shift number 2, and this one is absolutely critical. The freight buying process has fundamentally changed. By the time a shipper reaches out to you, they've already made up their mind about whether they trust you or not. Here's what's actually happening. Before they send that first email, before they request for the first quote, they're checking your LinkedIn profile, they're looking at your website, they're reading reviews, they're seeing what you post online. And if they can't find you, if you're invisible online, you don't even make the shortlist. Shippers are researching 5 to 7 forwarders before they even request a quote. Think about that. You're being evaluated and you don't even know you're in the running yet. Let me show you what this looks like. Forwarder A, no LinkedIn profile, generic website that looks like it's from 2012. No content, no proof of expertise, gets ghosted after sending a quote. Forwarder B, on the other hand, active on LinkedIn, is sharing freight insights every week, has a clear positioning on exactly who they serve, gets inbound leads from the shippers, specifically asking to work with them. And here's the kicker. Most forwarders are still operating like it's 2015, waiting for referrals, relying on old relationships, and doing absolutely nothing to build credibility. They're sitting there waiting for the phone to ring while the competition is getting found online by the exact shippers they want to work with. So here's what you need to understand. Your online presence is your first sales conversation. Before you ever get on a call, shippers have already decided, do I trust this person? Do they understand my industry? Are they just another commodity forwarder? Start treating LinkedIn like your digital storefront. Post educational content that shows that you understand the shipper problems. Build trust before the quote even is requested. And make your expertise visible and accessible. Because if they can find you online, they can hire you. Shift number 3 is going to sting for some of you, but you need to hear it. Referrals alone will not scale your business anymore. Now, before you close this video, hear me out. Referrals are great. I'm not saying stop taking referrals, but here's the reality. If your entire business model depends on referrals, you've hit a growth ceiling. What got you to 2, 5, 10 million is not going to get you beyond. Why? Because referrals are unpredictable. You can't control the timing. You can't control the volume. You can't control the quality. And this creates a cycle. 3 great months, then 2 terrible ones. Panic, scramble, hope something comes through. That's not a business strategy. That's hoping and praying. And here's the thing about referrals. They're a lagging indicator of past work. They don't compound, they don't accelerate, they just trickle in whenever they feel like it. I talk to forwarders all the time who've been comfortable for years. Same revenue band, year after year after year, they can break through it because they have no outbound engine, no system that generates demand. And then one bad quarter of referral hits and it's panic mode. Look, the successful forwarders I'm working with aren't replacing referrals, but they're supplementing them. They're building a predictable lead generation system that doesn't depend on who they know or who remembers you exist. They're creating their own demand through LinkedIn content that attracts the ideal shippers, targeted outbound emails that starts conversation, and video content that builds authority. Now, here's what happens. Referrals become the cherry on top, not the entire strategy. Your goal should be a predictable pipeline that is not dependent on luck, where you know every single month you've got new conversations coming in. Not because someone happened to refer you, but because you build a system that generates demand on command. All right, shift number 4. And this is where I see forwarders shooting themselves in the foot every single day. Content marketing works for freight forwarding, but most forwarders are doing it completely wrong and getting zero ROI. So here's what I see consistently. Forwarders posting motivational quotes, random industry news, photos of shipping containers with no context, and they wonder why they're not getting any leads. Look at who's engaging with that content. Other forwarders, competitors, industry people who will never hire you. Zero engagement from actual buyers. Views and likes do not equal revenue, and if your content is not aligned to who you sell, you're just wasting your time. Let me show you the difference. Bad content. Motivational Monday, never give up on your dreams. Or, did you know the shipping industry moves 90% of global trade? Or, photo of a container shipping at the sunset. Cool, nice, but that means nothing to a shipper who has a problem they need to be solved. And now here's good content. 3 reasons why your freight quote does not include the real cost. Or why your shipping got delayed and how to prevent it next time. Or what shippers need to know about carrier contracts right now. See the difference? One is noise, the other is value. One attracts like and the other starts conversation. I work with forwarders who posted daily for 6 months straight, got 10,000 impressions per month, felt like they were making progress but zero outbound leads. Why? Because his content had no point of view, it didn't address the buyer pain, and it was just there. We switched to educational POV driven content, lower impressions, yes, but 3 to 5 quality conversations per month with actual decision makers. So here's what you need to do. Stop posting for engagement and start posting for conversation. Every single post should either educate your ideal shipper, demonstrate your expertise, or solve a specific problem they're dealing with. And here's the test. Before you hit pause, ask yourself, would a shipper share this internally with their ops team? If the answer is no, don't post it. Shift number 5 is something most forwarders are completely missing, and it's costing them deals. Shippers follow and trust people, not freight company logos. In B2B freight, relationships drive everything. People buy from people they trust. When a company page posts something, it feels like marketing. It feels corporate. It feels like just another forwarder trying to sell. But when a founder, when an owner, when a real human being posts the exact same content, it feels like an expertise. It feels authentic. It feels like someone's worth listening to. Now, here's the data. I'm seeing personal LinkedIn profiles getting 8 to 10 times more reach than company pages. Comments, DMs go to people, not brands. Sales conversation happen in personal inboxes. Now, let me show you a real example. Company page post about custom compliance, 200 impressions, 5 likes, 0 comment. Founder posts the same exact topic on their personal profile, 2,000 impressions, 30 comments, 3 DMs from prospects. Think about why this happens. Shippers want to know who they're working with. They want to see your face. They want to hear your insights. They want to know you're real, that you've been on the trenches. Company logo is just another forwarder. A founder's face with real stories, real lessons learned, that's a trust signal. If you're a founder, if you're an owner, you need to be the face of your business online. Post from your personal profile, not just from the company page. Share your insights, tell real stories, show the lessons that you've learned over the years in your business. Let the buyer see the human behind the freight company. Because at the end of the day, they're not hiring a logo, they're hiring you. Shift number 6 is all about expectations. And if you are not paying attention to this, you're already losing deals. Speed and transparency are the new competitive advantage in freight forwarding. Here's what happened. Technology has raised shippers' expectations through the roof. Your customers live in a world where they see they can track their Amazon package in real time, where they can get instant notifications, where everything moves fast. And then they come to freight forwarding and you're telling them, I'm gonna get back to you in 48 hours? That doesn't count anymore. Shippers now expect instant quotes, real-time shipper tracking, and proactive communication, not reactive. And here's the gap. Most forwarders are still operating on email chain and manual processes. Shippers waiting 3 days for a quote, zero visibility once the shipment is in transit. Communication only happens when something goes wrong. Let me tell you what's happening in the market right now. A shipper sends a quote to 5 different forwarders. Forwarder A responds in 2 hours with a detailed quote. Forwarder B takes 3 days to respond. Even if forwarder B's rate is better, the deal is already lost because speed equals trust. When you respond fast, you signal that you're organized, that you're on top of things, and that you care about their business. When you respond slow, you signal the opposite. And it's not just quotes, it's shipment tracking, it's proactive updates. For A, shipper has to email asking, hey, where's my shipment? For B, shipper gets automatic updates on every milestone without having to ask. Which one builds more trust? So here's what you need to invest in. System that allows faster quoting, tracking platforms that provide proactive updates, communication process that keeps the client informed without them having to chase you. Be the forwarder who responds in hours, not days. Make transparency part of your value proposition. Use it in your positioning. 24-hour quote turnaround guarantee, real-time tracking on every shipment. Because in a commoditized market, the forwarder who moves the fastest and communicates better wins. All right, the final shift. And this one is the one that separates the forwarders who scale from the ones that stay stuck. The forwarders who win over the next decade will treat their business like a product, not just a service. System, process, repeatability beats hustle every single time. Here's a problem I see constantly though. You can't scale chaos. Manual processes capture growth, and burnout is a real thing when everything in your business depends on you. The old model is reactive, relationship dependent, and manual everything. The new model is proactive, system driven, and scalable processes. And when I say systems, here's what I'm talking about. Sales systems, predictable lead generation that isn't just referrals, content system, consistent LinkedIn presence that builds authority without you thinking about it every day. Operations system, standardized processes that don't require heroics to deliver. Client communication systems, proactive updates, not just constant firefighting. Let me tell you about a forwarder I worked with. He was stuck at $3 million in revenue for 5 years straight. Owner working 70-hour weeks, stressed out, burned out, everything ran through them. Every quote, every client call, every operation decisions, everything. Why? No systems, just hustle. We built a content system, hired up support, and standardized processes. Scaled to 18 millions in months. Owners now working 40 hours per week. That's the power of systems. And here's a reality check. Most freight forwarders are incredible operators. You know how to move freight. You know how to solve problems. You know how to deliver, but you are terrible at building systems. And look, I get it. What got you here? The hustle, the relationships, the grinding, it worked, but it won't get you there. So here's what you need to do. Audit where you're spending most of your time. Ask yourself, what am I doing more than twice? This should be systemized. Build systems for content creation and posting, sales follow-up and outreach, quote generation, operation workflow. Invest in the frameworks that let your business run without you micromanaging every single detail. Treat your business like a machine that runs predictably, consistently, and scalably, because that's the only way you're gonna dominate the next decade. All right, so let's bring this together. Freight forwarding is changing faster than most people realize. And the forwarders who will dominate the next decade, they're not the ones with the most relationships, they're not the ones with the lowest rate, and they're definitely not the ones with the biggest network. They're the ones who build a clear, specific positioning that cuts through the noise, show up online with authority and expertise, create predictable lead generation systems, move fast and stay transparent, treat their business like a sellable product and not just hustle. Most forwarders will keep doing what they've always done and wonder why their growth stalls. But if you're watching this, you're not most forwarders. If you like my help building a predictable sales pipeline for your freight forwarding business, one that doesn't depend on referrals, or hoping for the phone to ring, check the first link in the description and book a call. And if this video helped you see what's coming, hit subscribe. I break down freight sales and marketing strategies every single week. Let's build the future of freight forwarding together.